In today's video, the biggest change in the history of CKD treatment. There are 7 foods that were unjustly banned from the renal diet but are actually really going to help you. Yes, today I'm going to completely change the way you look at potassium. Gathering here, I've been helping people overcome renal problems for more than 10 years now. I've seen people succeeding in what many consider impossible, having stable improvements in GFR and other markers such as creatinine and insulin resistance, despite the stage of CKD they were in. And there is one diet that always seems to give the best results. A diet rich in as much fruit and vegetables as possible, including those rich in potassium. And I can prove that what I'm saying is true. There is a large study focused on stopping and reversing the progression of CKD through the diet. This study saw stage 4 patients completely stopping the progression of the disease. Some even reversed CKD. Oh, thanks to a more alkaline diet. And you know what are the most alkaline foods you can have in your diet? Those rich in potassium. Yes, potassium is actually one of the most alkaline parts of your diet, and this is one of the reasons why for some patients eating more high potassium foods may actually help reducing not just creatinine levels but also serum potassium levels. So it should be of no surprise that the patients who stopped or reversed the decline of GFR in literature were instructed to eat more high potassium foods such as potatoes, Brussels sprouts, kale, and broccoli. Yes, this is well documented in medical literature, as we can clearly see here. So question, why are patients still being told to avoid high potassium foods even if they don't need to? Today, many patients are still being instructed, often wrongly, to avoid a long list of foods because they contain potassium. And if you search info online about potassium in the renal diet, most websites will still provide you with this outdated information. The Vita websites is an example. If you search for how to prevent potassium levels from getting too high on their website, one of the first answers is still limiting foods that are high in potassium, which is a completely wrong approach as we have seen. Now you may think that those people at the Vita missed a few refresher courses because this is not my word against that of the Vita. Current guideline for CKD clearly states that, and I quote, potassium-rich foods need not be restricted as they offer other benefits that are beneficial to people with CKD. Now keep in mind that the researchers and doctors writing the KDOQI guideline are the authority here. Yes, there is still a lot of misinformation going on, and all this confusion may be really bad for the patient. Unless the patient gets informed, like you are doing right now. So today we will see the bright side of this whole mess. We will see what foods that were banned are actually good for you and what are their benefits. We will also see who can eat them. Always consult your doctor before any change to your diet. Patients with high serum potassium levels are not supposed to start eating high potassium foods right away. They are supposed to first take care of what's causing the issue, which is never the diet. More about this later on in this video. Let's start now with the top 7 foods you were told to avoid but that are actually very good for you. Number 7, red potatoes. Okay, potatoes are amazing. It's a shame that people with kidney problems were forbidden to eat them for so long. And they are also healthy for you. Besides their potassium content, potatoes are a gluten-free carb source that's low enough on the GI scale if you cook them in the right way. So question, why do you want potatoes in your diet? Well, besides the simple fact that they taste so good, potatoes are a great source of resistant starch. This starch is not broken down and fully absorbed by the body. Instead, it reaches the large intestine where it becomes a source of nutrients for the beneficial bacteria in your gut. Research has linked resistant starch to many health benefits, including reducing insulin resistance, which in turn improves blood sugar control. Alright? Potatoes with the highest resistant starch content and the lowest glycemic index are red potatoes. Interestingly, you can also increase the resistant starch content of potatoes. To do this, store boiled potatoes in the fridge overnight and consume them cold. Many more healthy foods to come. A very important question before that. Why are potassium-rich foods so good for you? Potassium is one of the most important essential nutrients in human nutrition, and most people consume way less potassium than they need. Potassium-rich diets can help to reduce cardiovascular and kidney disease according to science. In those with CKD, higher potassium intake is linked to less metabolic acidosis, less inflammation, less fibrosis, or scarring inside the kidneys, lowered blood pressure, less risk for heart problems, it even protects the bones. So these are some of the benefits that all the foods of today's video are going to have. Next food. Okay, here's the fruit that has been the symbol of potassium itself for so long. Number 6, bananas. Many people think about bananas when potassium is mentioned. But what if I told you that latest studies are showing that we are only going to get a fraction of the potassium from bananas we thought we could get? Anyways, there is more in bananas than potassium. They are also a great source of vitamin B6, which is key for healthy kidneys, and of various antioxidants and phytonutrients. And what if you have diabetes? Well, eat unripe bananas. A high proportion of the starch in unripe bananas is resistant starch. Same thing we found in red potatoes. This is something you really want in your diet. In fact, unripe bananas have a GI as low as 42. This starch turns into sugar when the banana becomes ripe. So the greener the banana, the less sugar in it. But as always, with diabetes, moderation is key with fruit. Now a question. Is there any proof that dietary potassium is not actually dangerous for people with CKD? Now, potassium ended up on the list of things to avoid in a rather unscientific way. I mean, they just thought that when potassium was too high, restricting potassium intake was the way to go. But just like it happens for cholesterol and other nutrients, there is a very small direct correlation between the amount of a certain substance we get in the diet and the amount we have in blood. Now, there are also cases in which a patient has his blood potassium too high already, okay? In those cases, a diet rich in potassium may actually cause problems. So take a look at your last blood analysis and double check how high is your blood potassium. Chances are your potassium levels are not too high. But if that happens and you have more than 5.2 milliequivalents per liter of blood potassium, well, you will need to take care of that. And avoiding high potassium foods is not gonna help. It's just a way to shift the blame on the patient. More about this in a moment. Before that, another high potassium fruit that was wrongly banned. This is a favorite of dieters around the world and it comes with many health benefits. Number 5, avocado. Avocados truly are vitamin powerhouses. They are rich in vitamin C, E, K, and B6, as well as riboflavin, niacin, folate, pantothenic acid, and magnesium. Avocados are so rich in antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds, they can protect your heart and kidneys from oxidative stress, which is associated with the progression of chronic diseases, alright? And they are so rich in potassium. But the reason why they are so good for you is another. So, why should you add avocados to your diet? While most fruits mostly contain carbs, avocados are richer in healthy fats. This makes them the best friend of your kidneys and of your heart, okay? Researchers have found that avocados may protect the heart, just like olive oil does. Besides, avocados won't spike your blood sugar levels at all, making them great for people with diabetes. Now, a very important question. What to do if your potassium levels are actually too high? According to statistics, 1 out of 5 CKD patients has too high potassium levels. And while it's too easy from a doctor's perspective to blame it on dietary potassium, that's not going to help the patient at all. High potassium levels are mostly caused by factors not related to the diet. According to current guidelines for CKD management, clinicians should actively investigate other factors that contribute to hyperkalemia before reducing dietary potassium intake. These factors include constipation, inadequate insulin, untreated metabolic acidosis, inadequate dialysis, and medications. So to be clear, this says that if you have too high potassium levels, your doctor should make sure that you are not constipated. You are taking enough insulin if diabetic. You are doing dialysis often enough if in dialysis. you don't have metabolic acidosis, and also the medications you are taking may also cause too high potassium levels. Solving these issues, which is crucial for your health, by the way, is almost always going to lower your blood potassium levels drastically. This in turn will let you enjoy a diet higher in potassium and all the health benefits that it brings. And speaking of foods that you can really enjoy, let's see an antioxidant superstar with a delicious taste. Number 4. Cantaloupe. Cantaloupe makes the perfect summer snack. This fruit packs loads of potassium and other minerals, but also antioxidants. Oxidative stress is one of the main processes that damage the kidneys, and a diet rich in antioxidants can really help. Now, there is another reason why CKD patients may want to include cantaloupe in their diet. Inositol, also known as vitamin B8, inositol is a key nutrient for those with diabetes. In the body, it has an effect similar to that of metformin, but it's completely natural. There are studies that link supplementing this vitamin to a fast improvement in glucose levels and A1C levels in diabetes patients. Just remember that cantaloupes are very sweet, so to minimize the health benefits, moderation is key. Okay, up next, a fruit that directly helps the kidneys. Studies have shown that the oil of this fruit can be of help in case of kidney problems. Number 3, coconut. Coconuts, just like avocados, are richer in fats than carbs, which is great especially for people with diabetes. Now, much of the fat in coconut is in the form of medium-chain triglycerides or MCTs. This is the only form of fat that the body can use as an immediate source of energy, a bit like carbs but without any insulin spike. MCTs are so healthy for the kidneys, especially in case of diabetes, that you can also get them in oil form to supplement your diet. Studies say they may improve insulin resistance and help overweight people lose weight. Now, like with the other fruits of this video, moderation is key when consuming coconuts, since they are very caloric. Our top 2 now, some of the healthiest veggies you didn't know you could eat. Number 2, broccoli. Broccoli is definitely one of the healthiest foods on earth, a true powerhouse of nutrients. It's reputed to benefit digestion, the cardiovascular system, and the immune system, and to have anti-inflammatory and even cancer-preventing properties. It also has detoxing properties, very useful to lower your creatinine levels and improve the health of your kidneys thanks to unique phytochemicals. These plant compounds, they aid all steps of the body's detoxification process, from activation to neutralization and elimination of contaminants. Just make sure not to overcook broccoli so you don't end up losing some precious nutrient. The best way of cooking these superfoods is sauteing for up to 5 minutes, steaming for up to 20 minutes, or microwaving. Okay, what can be even healthier than broccoli? Our number 1, the most alkaline veggie in the world, also known for its blood pressure lowering properties. Number 1 is spinach. Now, spinach is so healthy that I recommended it many times here despite its very high potassium content. And now that we know that potassium is one more reason to want spinach in your diet, you can finally enjoy the alkaline and kidney restoring properties this veggie has to offer. Because following an alkaline diet really is a must for people with kidney disease. And if you want to know more about the most alkaline foods to add to your diet, this video up here is for you. If your goal is to protect and improve the health of your kidneys, there is only one thing in your diet you absolutely can't live without. There is only one thing that is proven by medical literature to stop or even reverse kidney function decline even in the advanced stages. Only one thing that can lower your blood pressure reliably, improve your blood sugar levels, lower your cholesterol levels, and improve antioxidant status. This magic element, which is the cornerstone of the whole renal diet, is plant-based carbohydrates. Seasonal fruits, healthy veggies, legumes, leafy greens. Yes, there is no chance of keeping or improving your kidney function without enough plant-based carbs in your diet. But there is still a lot of people out there convinced that eating carbs is bad for them, especially, but not only, people with diabetes. And that maybe you have to eat like him? So my goal today is to dispel some misconception regarding the renal diet, because the medical field made huge steps forward in the way the diet for kidney disease is set up. Nowadays, diets are not just easier to follow, they work better than they used to. My recent video proves just that. 120 patients were able to improve by following a very simple, very easy to follow diet. Many of them were in stage 4. Which is shocking because there are still doctors out there that will tell you to give up any hope if you are in stage 4. But in reality, all that these stage 4 kidney disease sufferers had to do to improve was to follow a diet which was prevalently made from, wait for it, plant-based carbohydrates. So question, aren't people with diabetes supposed to avoid carbohydrates? Guys, I know that many people are still confused about the role of carbs in the renal diet. I know this because every time I mention foods rich in carbs, such as, for example, beets, potatoes, legumes, corn, turnips, and, well, fruit in general, I always get the same kind of comment. But Catherine, these foods are bad for diabetics. And they are very adamant about the fact that you cannot improve if you keep eating fruit and starchy veggies. And now you may wonder, why would people think that fruit and veggies are bad for them? Well, the problem, in my opinion, is influencers, TikTokers, random internet scammers. All these people only have one goal in mind, which is your money. Let me give you an example to support my theory. Today I present you with the biggest fraud in the history of the internet, the Liver King.
I talk about this all the time. You gotta get liver in your life because liver is king. Go on a hunt, first and foremost. That kind of connection with the animal and land will do more for you than getting it anywhere else. If you can't do that, go to the butcher. If you can't go to the butcher, go to the find a way to get liver.
So he says that if you do what he does, you will become like him. So we are all supposed to follow an ancient lifestyle with no cell phones, no technology, and a lot of weightlifting done in the nature. And that's how he got so strong and healthy.
Just like Liver King. Let's go!
What?
And yeah, obviously, he eats a lot of raw liver and red meat. Now guys, raw liver is something extremely dangerous to eat. First of all, because eating raw meat puts you at risk for food poisoning. Salmonella, Clostridium, E. coli, Listeria are all bacteria that you could get from eating raw meat. Not to mention tapeworm and other parasites. And also, eating liver is especially dangerous for the kidneys because the liver has really a lot of vitamin A. There are documented cases of acute kidney injury reported after the ingestion of liver. So never eat raw liver, especially in these amounts. It won't make you healthy. It won't make you stronger. But now you may think, he got so healthy and so strong by eating liver. Doesn't that mean that eating liver isn't that bad? Well, the thing is, he never got so strong by eating liver. And no, training in the wild is not his secret either.
There's a lot of subprimals that are convinced that Liver King is taking steroids. You think if I was on steroids, I would have these
I've done steroids, and yes, I'm on steroids. I've done steroids, and yes, I'm on steroids, monitored and managed by a trained hormone clinician.
Oh, so he was on steroids all the time. He didn't get that big eating raw liver. It was the drugs. And he didn't really care about his own health. He just wanted to make money. Now guys, I don't believe that many of you are following Liver King on TikTok. At least I hope. But YouTube tells me that many of you are, on the other hand, following other carnivores on the internet.
Benefits from the carnivore diet. Joint inflammation. The symptoms of it are dramatic. I need 7 quarter-pounder patties. That's it. You can eat them like a true carnivore.
Severely limit the intake of plants, whether they're vegetables, fruits, or others.
So we have, on one hand, science telling people with kidney issues to eat more fruit and veggies. And no one is listening. Kidney disease is still destroying the lives of millions of people every year. And on the other hand, we have all these influencers that are telling people to go carnivore instead. and everyone goes crazy and gives them huge amounts of money. I mean, every time I talk about the keto, there are always people telling me that it helped them, that it has benefits. Now the thing is, the keto has been almost completely debunked by science because it only has benefits compared to, a standard Western diet, a diet with plenty of junk food. But anything has benefit compared to eating junk food. On the other hand, when you compare the keto diet or the carnivore diet for what it matters to a well-planned, plant-based diet, it's very clear that the keto has no advantage, no real benefits apart from the fact that it is easy to sell. Recent study compared the keto to a low GI personalized diet, a diet that doesn't completely cut all carbs, just high glycemic carbs, such as sugar and ultra-processed grains. In this study, the low GI diet group had lost significantly more weight than the ketogenic diet group. The low GI diet group also had significantly greater improvements in total cholesterol or HDL cholesterol and fasting glucose compared to the ketogenic diet group. So it looks like the keto carnivore folks completely misunderstood the reason why their diet kinda helped. It was not the whole avoiding fruit part, it was just the avoiding sugar part that helped. And this is, in my opinion, very interesting for us because you cannot do a keto diet if you have CKD, especially in the advanced stages. But you can definitely limit sugar and ultra-processed carbs consumption and still get all the benefits. So keep that in mind if you have diabetes and you are thinking about following a keto diet. You can get all the benefits and more by avoiding high GI carbs, processed grains, and added sugar. Now guys, if you want to learn more about what carbs are the healthiest for people with kidney disease and diabetes, this video up here is for you. And now you may ask, if it's so easy to improve, why isn't everyone with CKD getting better? Well, unfortunately, it's not that easy to improve, especially with all the misinformation that you can find on the internet. And also, if you don't have a well-planned renal diet to follow. This is why in my recent video, I've shared with you what 120 stage 3 and 4 patients did to get their kidney function back with a very easy to follow diet. It's up here. Question: can eating more high-carb foods help you lower your creatinine levels? It's fair to say that the answer will surprise you. And when it comes to protecting the kidneys, following the right diet is always the very first, maybe the most important step. Studies are very clear on this. When CKD sufferers stopped eating foods that damage the kidneys and replaced them with foods that protect them, improvements in GFR levels were observed. Yes, in this study, improvements in creatinine and GFR levels were observed in CKD sufferers who started to eat more fruit and veggies. But you see, there are still people convinced that eating starchy veggies, fruit in general, and whole grains is bad for them. And today, I'm going to debunk this misconception once and for all by showing you what the healthiest high-carb foods are. Because I've spent a lot of time fighting misconceptions about the renal diet, and one of the biggest and worst myths ever is avoiding high-carb foods. Let's start by taking a look at some of the healthiest starchy vegetables out there, starting with red potatoes. Red potatoes are a wonderful example of a food that's been avoided by too many people for all the wrong reasons. But these veggies are amazing. Potatoes are rich in nutrients and fiber, and they have many health benefits. Potatoes are a gluten-free carb sources that's also low on the GI scale, especially if you cook them the right way. Red potatoes in particular are a great source of resistant starch. This starch is not broken down and fully absorbed by the body. Instead, it reaches the large intestine where it becomes a source of nutrients for the beneficial bacteria in your gut. Researchers have linked resistant starch to many health benefits, including reducing insulin resistance, which in turn improves blood sugar control. Interestingly, you can also increase the resistant starch content of potatoes. To do this, store boiled potatoes in the fridge overnight and consume them cold. These will actually lower their GI even more. Question: shouldn't you avoid potatoes due to their carbs and potassium content? Well, no. That's not a good idea unless your potassium levels are actually too high, which is not as common as previously believed. You see, all CKD sufferers have been wrongly forbidden from eating high potassium foods for a long time, but today this is finally over. Only those who actually have too high potassium levels should avoid potatoes and other high potassium foods. Today I want to focus more on high carb foods. So here's another great veggie that you absolutely want in your diet. Beets. Beets are, in my opinion, one of the healthiest veggies out there. Beets are very rich in folate or vitamin B9, which protects blood vessels and reduces the risk of heart disease, stroke, and it also protects the kidneys. Beets are also naturally high in nitrates, a very powerful vasodilator. This is the main reason why beets are so good against hypertension. Actually, in a study on kidney disease sufferers, those who drank juice made from beets had a very significant improvement in both diastolic and systolic pressure. Now guys, another question that I always get when I talk about high carb veggies. Why are you recommending carbs when a lot of people with kidney issues have diabetes? Shouldn't we actually limit or avoid carb intake? No, you don't need to limit all carbs, not even if you need to lose weight. Especially, don't completely avoid carbs if you have diabetes. You see, even the ADA, the American Diabetes Association, recommends eating enough fruit and high carb veggies. Fact: you can lose weight and lower your fasting glucose levels much more efficiently if you also have carbs in your diet. This is what a recent study proved. The study compared the benefits in terms of weight loss from a keto diet with a personalized diet that was low in GI. While initially the keto seemed to perform better, it was just an illusion. 18 months after the dietary intervention, those following a personalized diet instead of a keto not just did lose a lot more weight, they also had improvements in all the most important metabolic parameters. They had better cholesterol levels, better fasting glucose, and so on. So don't do a keto, especially if you have diabetes, because a personalized diet with fruit and veggies will give you better results and in a safer way. What you should always limit or avoid, on the other hand, are high glycemic foods such as processed carbs and sugars, junk foods in general, obviously, and also protein. And if you need to lose weight, instead of being scared of fruit and veggies, focus on limiting calories. Remember, there is a growing amount of scientific evidence that most of the benefits certain experts assigned to low carb diets are to be assigned instead to any diet that is low in added sugar. So question: are beets and the other foods of today's video too rich in sugar? Can people with diabetes eat them? Beets have more sugar than many other vegetables, about 4 grams in one small beet. But that's hardly the same as getting 4 grams of sugars from a cookie, for example. Natural sugar is never the same as added sugar. You see, the natural sugar in fruit and vegetables acts completely differently inside the body than added sugar from junk foods. This happens because the fiber in this vegetable is going to slow down the absorption of this sugar. And consuming beets appears to be especially beneficial for people with diabetes. Beets lower the risk of common diabetes complications, including nerve damage and eye damage. And while beets definitely are one of the healthiest carb sources out there, there are other great foods you can add to your eating plan. Fruits are a must in a renal diet, even for those with diabetes, as we have seen, and some of the healthiest fruits include berries. Berries are great, super healthy and super tasty. I often recommend blueberries in particular because they are a real superfood. They're packed with important nutrients and antioxidants, particularly anthocyanins, which give them their blue color. Antioxidants help to fight against oxidative stress and inflammation in the body, which are linked to many chronic diseases including CKD and diabetes. Blueberries are also low in calories and high in fiber, great for a snack. When it comes to healthy fruits, also consider grapes, especially the darker varieties. They are rich in antioxidants, including flavonoids and resveratrol. These compounds can help reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, which are associated with both CKD and diabetes. Just like berries, grapes are also low in calories and can be a great snack. Another fruit you may want to add is pineapple. a bit higher in sugar and potassium than some of the foods of today's video. Pineapple is still a very good choice. It's the only major dietary source of bromelain, an enzyme that aids in digestion by breaking down proteins. It also has anti-inflammatory and anti-clotting properties, which could be very beneficial for individuals with CKD and diabetes. Now, we can't talk about high-carb foods without mentioning whole grains. Whole grains are an excellent choice of carbs because they are very rich in fiber to slow down carbs absorption and to improve gut health. Fiber also promotes a feeling of fullness, which can help in weight management, but they are also an excellent source of many key nutrients. So consider including in your eating plan wild rice. Wild rice is maybe the best rice there is for people with kidney problems. Wild rice can contain as much as 30 times the antioxidants as white rice. It is low on the glycemic scale and packs a lot more fiber than white rice. And it also has some magnesium and B vitamins, all very healthy. It's also a good source of antioxidants. Now, wild rice has only one problem. It's expensive and sometimes hard to find. Still, if you can find it and it's not too expensive for you, wild rice is a great choice. And you can also consider barley. This is an amazing superfood. Barley is low in GI and phosphorus, and it also boasts some anti-inflammatory properties. Barley contains betaine, a nutrient that may help reduce inflammation. Barley is also rich in soluble fiber, the healthiest fiber you can find. In magnesium, great to lower pressure, and iron to fight anemia. This is what makes it a superfood. And it's also great as a breakfast staple. You can find barley in flakes, and that's great to make porridge if you prefer to avoid oatmeal. Barley is also easy to find compared, for example, to wild rice, and relatively inexpensive. It's also very easy to prepare. Throw some barley into a large pot of water and simmer until tender, about 15 to 20 minutes for pearl barley. Drain and serve with some olive oil and roasted veggies. Or add cooked barley to soups, use it in cold salads, or substitute it for rice in risotto. Another super healthy whole grain is buckwheat. Among cereals and pseudo-cereals, buckwheat is the richest source of rutin, an antioxidant that may have a number of benefits for the heart and kidneys. A recent study linked buckwheat intake to lower blood pressure and lower cholesterol levels. You can easily use it in place of rice in pilafs or try making grain salads with it. And guys, if you want to learn more about superfoods that are a must in a renal diet, my video up here is for you, and this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all.